Hey everyone, welcome back. It's been a while since I've been on here since after the election. Been investigating some other stuff and kind of going about the business. I thought I'd go over a little quick couple things here. Not a scrap video today. It's going to be the reality side again. I'm kind of getting used to doing that a little bit and probably could do it more and more. As in, scrapping is very difficult and a long process to get any kind of money with it. So, you know, I keep getting stuff, which you see my pile of stuff is ridiculous, but either here or there. So first of all, I want to say a lot of people out there are talking about TikTok, and if you have children that are on that app, you should immediately delete it. You should immediately curb it. If you haven't looked at TikTok in any way, you should look into it. At the very least, scroll through a couple videos on there, or look at a couple of creators out there that use the content for their creation. Usually, I mean, it's so bad that content creators can just go through it and just pick it apart and make a whole episode about it. You know, a couple of Odin's Men, he's pretty good about mocking them. Amisha, I can't think of her last name. Another one that mocks it pretty well. There's a bunch of them that out there that go through TikTok videos and mock them. I mean, they're easily mockable, because these people are lunatics that are on that app. But you have to think that that app is getting into, especially just very predominant with the younger generation, and it's definitely a Chinese spy tool that they get all the information, and who knows what's embedded in the code of that thing, and it goes right to the CCP. So I would definitely not have that on my device. I would definitely not have my children using it in any way. So I mean, the government, our United States government, as corrupt as they are, they actually had told soldiers not to have that, U.S. soldiers not to have that on their devices. Trump told people not to have it on the devices. Many people of authority, even the paid-off freaking Chinese puppets, have said not to have it on your devices. So, and you might want to think about that if you do have it, or if your children do. So that's enough of that. But I wanted to talk about, we had that Artemis launched by NASA on the 16th, I believe. Of the last, now it's the first, so yeah, last month. That supposedly first step to go back to the moon thing. I have a couple of comments on that when we talk about reality and recycling. Really, that actually ties into recycling, the same story now that it was the 50 years ago, and they're acting like it's all brand new somehow. And Artemis is the name of the ship, and then Osiris is the name of the orbiter vehicle that's going to orbit the moon, or supposedly is orbiting the moon. Their names always got this Greek god names for some reason. Interestingly, I have quite a few questions now. Let's just think, for instance. Okay, so we got the launch. We've all seen a launch of a rocket before, and they make people so far back from it, and it's all this big spectacular smoke and shit that goes up, and okay, we've all seen that launch. Question number one: they have these cameras, now, like the Sony 9000 or whatever it is, that can you can zoom right up on the moon pretty well. We've got a hell of a zoom lens on it, and then you've seen people watching any kind of videos of. They say, well, these are the cameras they use for NASA, and they have these gigantic, big cameras that supposedly follow the rocket up, and so on and so forth. Why then is there not just a picture the entire way? Can you zoom a camera in on this launch and follow and track it all the way up in this freaking space? Why can't you do that? Why isn't there pictures of that following the exact same thing that left the ground all the way up to dropping, burning off the boosters and entering orbit and everything? Why is it if they can see the moon so clearly and zoom up on it, why can't you zoom on this thing flying up there? Same question would be go for the International Space Station, ISIS, another Greek name. Go figure. That thing, you can supposedly see it with the naked eye, at night sometimes, if you're at the right place and you see a light fly overhead. That's low Earth orbit. You should be able to zoom right in on that thing with the Sony 9000 camera, right? You can zoom to the freaking moon with it. You should be able to zoom right in on that. You should be able to zoom. Why can't you see a satellite on these cameras? Why can't you just zoom up in on a satellite and be able to see, little solar fins sticking out and it's little whatever, and it's looking at you and you're looking back at it. The camera lenses you should be able to do that. Now on the Artemis launch I was watching, they go up there and it looks like, you can see it downrange, all this geometry and numbers of it. Downrange 230 miles, 33 minutes, 35 seconds, and 30, on and on. Just geometry up the ass with this whole thing. And so then they show you a couple. I think they showed you one shot of the booster separation. The same shot we've seen before with the Saturn V rockets from inside the first module, the booster shot. The booster goes off, separates. Second booster's fire, whatever. And then in the Artemis thing, they took to some ship rocket looking thing. It's a freaking cartoon, and there's no way anybody can believe that's a picture of the ship from any way, shape, or form. So then they do some other cuts and whatever. So then you got this. Eventually, you got this probe looking thing. Looks like what you would picture as a satellite, like we've seen a million times. Orbiting the moon, going over the surface and whatnot, and if they have for sale a public sale, by Sony 9000 cameras or whoever makes that camera, if that's public available, that technology, then that they have 10 times that. I mean, we've known for years that satellites could see the license plate from space or whatever. And you heard stories how they can, look at the screen on your phone from space or whatever they're saying. So obviously they're going to have way better tech than Sony. So there ought to be. If you're seeing these pictures of the moon that's supposedly from the orbiter that's orbiting it and whatnot, but they could easily. It's not all that believable to me, anyway. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying they have cameras that could do a lot more than what they tell us, obviously. Okay, so next question, what I would ask them is, and I remember I wanted to ask this question back when the Challenger, the shuttle, bought the farm. We see all the stuff of it, and they launches, especially the cameras. Why is there never a freaking camera in the cockpit? Why? I was just saying, you got a crew of guys in there, and I always thought about the space shuttle. You got the camera in there, and it's gonna, how exciting would that be to see the look of them, in there going up, firing that rocket, all the, they did it in Armageddon, right? There's a couple shots in Armageddon. Those are like probably some of the best scenes in the movie, is when they're freaking the guys like. They put him on top of that thing. This is one hell of a ride, or whatever the fuck he says, But that's like the coolest scene in the movie, probably to me, anyway. One of the better ones. Just because it's like the challenge, and that's just scary as hell. I mean, that would be one hell of a ride. Going from 0 to 17,000 miles an hour is fucking one hell of a ride, no doubt about it. Why don't they have cameras inside the cockpit of these things? Never fucking seen one. Why? Now, when Artemis there, I stand corrected to a certain extent, they did have later they showed a static shot of, because they put some kind of a dummy astronaut in there for testing all that bullshit, which they should already know, because they've been going into fucking space in the 60s, right? And going they had these dummies that's got all this sensors and whatnot on them to study the pressures and this and that. this should already be documented. You know, it's like they're saying, oh yeah, all that stuff in the 70s. Oh, we forgot all that. You know, we couldn't test all that then, so we got to test it now. I mean, they went from 69 to 72, I believe. 5 missions to the moon, somewhere in that range, manned missions. So you'd think they might have the pressure worked out and all that kind of stuff already. Why we have to put a dummy in there with all these other and analyzing stuff on it. I don't understand that, but okay, neither here nor there. But so they did show a quick static shot that supposedly the inside of this Artemis rocket, or Osiris line, whatever it is, and it's got the pilot or the mannequin there, and it's behind him. Of course, you can't even see, you just see the back of the space helmet, whatever. And it's looking this way, and it looks like there's 2 windows in front of them, gauges and whatnot here and there. And then they have a NASA flag and an Artemis flag right there. Like we don't know it's NASA and Artemis, so you got to advertise your fucking selves in the capsule thing. What the fuck is that? I mean, is it just, you know what that is? I'll tell you what that is. That's making sure that you understand. This is inside the rocket ship, the cockpit. It is NASA and it's Artemis. I mean, they make sure that you know that's what it is. Anyway, so why isn't there pictures of a live crew of any? The Falcon Heavy, you know, the SpaceX going to the freaking ISIS, the Russian ships inside the cockpit on the launch, in the ride, anything besides the goddamn just on the ISIS space station. Okay, that's absolute garbage. You know, that's been shown many times on other. If you look around on the internet, you will find people tearing apart that every time you see them on the ISIS. There's so many things that are just funky. I also, another question would be, okay, what do you say? Yeah, if you can see, you know, we got these space telescopes, right? The Hubble, and now the freaking, whatever the new one is called, and it can see, like, supposedly forever out, you know, searching for the originating the Big Bang, and they can see this stuff, but yet they can't turn the fucker towards Earth. They can't turn it towards the moon, and you know, and they can't just do anything that's going to show you anything besides some animated crap of some galaxy that's so far away. Looks like a, you know, airbrush freaking spiral thing or something. You know, it's all garbage. It just makes no sense. But people just buy into it. You know, so oh yeah, that's like galaxies far away. And like I said, you can't see a satellite right here in low Earth orbit. You can't see ISIS right here in low Earth orbit. It's kind of ridiculous. What was I going to say for another question that I have? Oh, that's just the one I got, and I've seen somebody trying to call me. I've seen this on so many things, you know, when they show you these NASA guys, and like when they're go back into the Apollo missions and stuff, and Mercury, and they're loading up the astronauts into the capsule and whatever, and they have the crews that are helping get them in there and everything. And and they all do the same thing. And I noticed this with the Artemis one here, that when they're showing putting the dummy things in there or whatever, and all the crews guys got these freaking surgical masks on and things to cover their hair, and well, you know, like surgery stuff, you know. I mean, like, and you see it like when they do the clean rooms type of thing with the, you know, when they show you inside, they're like building the satellite or whatever. But they're putting the guys into the ship or the dummy or whatever back on the Apollo mission. They're putting people in there, but they all have the covered mouth, covered face, you know, covered head. They look like surgical gear. I mean, what the fuck is the point of that? You're gonna close these people in that thing and put it on top of a rocket that's gonna get blasted into fucking space at 17,000 miles an hour. Why do you have to have surgical masks on? Who and what are you protecting? Is a hair or a breath gonna hurt them somehow? It's a presentation, you know. See, it's so special and so unique. They gotta, you know, we got to be taking, we're surgeons by putting these guys in. All they're doing is fucking strapping the guys in and hooking up a couple hoses to them or whatever. You don't really need the whole surgical mop gear or whatever. That one, and that's one of the ones that just kind of fly under everybody's. Nobody even thinks about it. You don't even think, it doesn't even register in your mind. It's all part of the trick that makes you think that, oh, this is so important, so special. Look, they got to be all covered up, and your mind just thinks that it's a surgeon. That's what we think when we see that kind of thing. So it all transfers into that, you know. So and they were showing that one of the dummies that they're put up, that they had taken up there, one of the chest pressures and all this other stuff. I noticed on the like a flag of it on there, it was in a German, Israeli, and United States, in that order, the flags on this thing. So German, Israel, United States, their flags. Okay, so it's a U.S. Artemis mission. What's Germany and Israel come first for? Isn't that an odd combination too? Germany and Israel. Isn't there some kind of history about Germany and Israel? I think there is. Some very interesting history. And they're all buddies now, or no, weren't they always, I guess? Anyway, of course they bring up a whole thing about the golden ratio and, you know, the same old garbage with that. So that's my Artemis thing. I've kind of checked back and forth on it about the pictures of it going around, and I've watched a few live videos of it circling around, and you know, it's not very good. It's not very good. I stand by the fact that I think the moon thing is not what they say it is. I don't know what it is. I just don't believe what they tell me. I have a big hard problem with these people that make up lies about everything, and I find it difficult to trust them on anything. And so that's that. You know, you got to go into, I guess, until they go, hey, you know, come on up on board this ship here, and we're gonna go up into low Earth orbit and spin around a few times. Then I might believe a little bit. But you know, you look at the pictures when they show you pictures from the moon, from the Apollo missions and stuff, and you see this, you know, little Earth. It gives itself away, and so, you know, if it's what they say it is, and as far away as they say it was, you wouldn't see nothing. If you were standing on the moon looking back at Earth, you would see nothing but the Earth, a huge, gigantic, like, I don't like the guy, the physicist, so-called grass-fed Tyson guy, yeah. I'm going to use hobo code on these things. He like slams a globe or a ball to his face and says, "This is what you'd see from you know, why I can't take a picture of Earth." I'm like, well, exactly. So why can't you just show me that picture then? I want to see the picture, because if you're on the ISIS, which is in low Earth orbit, you wouldn't see no black anywhere out your port window, because you're in low Earth orbit, which is like, you know, 65 miles or something like that, whatever it is, not far. So you're, and being the size of the Earth, 25,000 miles in diameter, and the size of the ISIS thing, which would be like this, and you look out the window, you would see nothing but Earth. It'd just be a big blue whatever. You wouldn't see, but you see these pictures from like the orbiter of the space station, or the old pictures from the spacewalks or whatever, and you'd always see like the Earth's always like this. And then they're seeing off the side of it, you know, so it's got a curvature, looks like they're spinning around it or whatever. You would see nothing but the Earth, because it's so huge compared to you. It's just on the moon, same thing. The distance is, you know, it's supposed to be 250,000 miles. Okay, you run that, and if you're looking at the Earth, you're not going to see the little. Look how big the moon looks to us from here. Okay, and then compare an Apollo mission, a picture of the Earth from the moon on the Apollo missions. It's it's like telling you this ain't real, because if you've seen everybody's seen the moon, right? And you know, the harvest moon. Look how big that looks. And the moon is, you know, whatever, a quarter of the size of the Earth. You know, it's tiny compared to the Earth. But yet, you know, yeah, of course you can see it around that. But if it's as far away as it is, if you were on it, you're looking back to Earth, you would see nothing but Earth. It wouldn't be a little tiny size of like the moon from Earth. It makes no sense whatsoever. Okay, the size is way incomparable to. I mean, they give themselves away on so many things. I mean, and it's like some of the parts of the Artemis mission, I felt like it's like they weren't even trying. They weren't even trying. It's like the people that they know they got people sold on this so much that they're gonna, and they know people aren't gonna watch it that much. It's lost all its thrill and flair. That, you know, zero people are gonna watch it. Maybe a couple kids in some kind of a science class, or, you know, and they just do the highlights of it on the news, if anything. You know, so they haven't really tried. They don't. It's just like, if they were trying, they could do way better than this. The presentation was very weak. That's what I gotta tell you about it. And I watched a lot of it just to see what they were going to try to do and what they're going to pull off. You know, a couple of the other people out there that will look into the kind of stuff like this, you know, it's not like it's on my conclusion of everything. It's all, we all know in this community that NASA is just not a space agency. That's what they are. And, you know, Elon Musk with his SpaceX, another joke, SpaceX. They tell you all the time. They tell you so many ways that's not real. It's like they have to. And part of the contract to keep people asleep. They have to tell. You have to consent to it. As long as you believe it, then you're consenting to it. If you know, I don't consent to it. I don't think that it's real, and I don't consent to their lies and garbage, because, like I've said before in other videos, you might want to go back and check, they lie about everything. That's the truth of the matter. They lie about everything. And it's so hard to wrap your head around that sometimes, and I fall into it myself. I listen to something and they go, oh yeah, then I've got to remember, well, they lie about everything. So that's probably not true. You know, but you live somewhat on the basis of you know, in the box, and you gotta have this ideas of what's, you know, but, and you start listening to this and that and say, oh, that's this, and they're doing this for that reason, and then you gotta remember that they lie about everything. I mean, it's hard to pull yourself back from that, and not believe what they're telling you. Because you want to believe in a lot. I mean, they always tell you stuff that you want to believe in. That's, you know, hopium. The hopium of our lives. And that's what they do to keep you in that drugged out state. You know, television. Tell your vision lies. They've had that for years. That's probably the reason why they brought this stuff forward. You know, the reason why they brought photography forward. There's a reason why they have all these visual things to put forth their version of reality, their version of the truth, their version of history, their version of what the natural world is, their version of everything. You know, you've been watching channels out there, and they show you all these old pictures and this and that of buildings and all the ancient architecture and all this stuff. You can't trust any of those pictures. You can't, because they lie about everything. If it's put out there in the mainstream, on the which these channels are kind of mainstream in a way, and they're putting out there an idea, and it's obvious to most people. Well, I shouldn't say most people. It's obvious to people in these investigative communities that there's a whole bunch of buildings out there that they're anachronistic. They don't fit with our current way of building things. Basically, they're you know, look at the cathedrals and the mansions and whatever they are, all these old buildings that, you know, they all seem to have built around the 1850s or so, for another reason. It's odd. But they're all, you know, the Victorian type style, the Gothic type style, Romanesque type style. All these buildings that are definitely old and beautiful with all ornateness and such. But yet you look at our modern forms of building that are ugly brick or blocks stacked on blocks and just ugly as hell. And I'm not saying that we don't have the ability to build those kind of buildings that we do, but why don't we? Why don't we build these beautiful buildings that are grand architecture style of stone and masonry and, you know, whatever else, and they're just beautiful buildings. We don't build beautiful buildings anymore. We build boxy pieces of crap that look ugly as hell. And, you know, we got this vision of, oh, the future. I remember when we were in school, oh, what's the future building going to look like? And they're all spires and, you know, rings and all this beautiful, shiny things. I mean, in our future is boxes and glass and steel, I guess. To me, they're ugly as hell. I haven't. There's very few buildings that have got any kind of personality to them that we modernly built buildings. I think they're just ugly crap boxes, shoe boxes, cracker boxes, whatever, you know. And then we have these anomalous buildings that are around that we're told were, oh, we built that in 1850 or, you know, 1898, or, you know, these people come to this area in Gold Rush area in San Francisco, and you know, they within a couple of years they have built all these friggin' really nice, beautiful structures and stuff of stone and mortar and, you know, carved stone and whatever else in the 1850s. And, you know, you probably heard things about the World Fair and other of these, you know, grandiose type things that. And I'm not saying that they didn't build some of that stuff at the World's Fair as temporary. But I am saying there probably was buildings there already that are just way off the rails. Like the 1838 World's Fair of Chicago. It's 1898. 30. Either way, the World's Fair of Chicago. There's one building in there. It's the Machine Hall, I believe it is. It's like. You can't get your mind around it. It was, at the time, it was the largest building on the earth, or in this realm, and it's like, you know, 100 acres or something. It was massive, massive friggin' building. I mean, they showed these other buildings that are all around it, and like there's some pictures now that have cropped up, you know, because there's big debate about, oh, was these here or were they built, and, you know, and there was no, people were saying there's no construction photos and this and that, and now some construction photos have popped up, and, you know, made people just doubt that they were there before, because they show a few construction photos, which to me, that doesn't prove one thing or one way or another. But the ones that they do show the construction photos of, or supposedly they are, is a couple of buildings that are like off the side of this one building, and in comparison wise. There's no comparison. It's like, imagine your, what's something comparable? You know, they build a shopping mall. Okay, let's say they build a Walmart, and the size of a Walmart. Let's say it's, you know, a couple stories higher. It's about the size of your average Walmart. We've all been there. Okay. Well, it shows construction photos of a couple of buildings that are about that size, and those things could fit 100 inside this one building, the machine hall or whatever it is. And the thing is beyond massive. And they, you know, they say that they built these things in 2 years. And in all pictures, you always see that the real big ones, are already there. They might have like a framework around them of scaffolding. Maybe they're refacing them, painting them. Who knows? But they, you know, you can see behind the scaffolding that the building is there. That's for the most part. I mean, it's there, and you might see some work on the roofs. You know, you'll see some cranes up there on the roof. that are, and then they call that explains everything. No, I don't buy it. But like I said, you cannot believe any of the photos. You can't believe any of them. The World's Fair, especially the Chicago World's Fair, you weren't allowed to take pictures in the World's Fair. Not that there were a whole lot of cameras in at that time, but there were some, because there was official photos that were taken of it. So there was, but you weren't allowed. The average tourist were not allowed to take pictures in there for whatever reason. And there were cameras. Like I said, there were cameras at the time. There's cameras way further in time than we probably already knew about, and that they held back the technology before they release it, give it to common man, and they use it to manipulate their things, like the Civil War. Now, if they had photography in the 1820s going forward, and so by the time of the Civil War, 1860s, they would have pretty good ability to take pictures. And you see pictures of the Civil War, staged photos of them, of soldiers standing there. You've seen them, and the people there, and they're all stand together, pictures, and a couple of battlefield scenes of bodies, and a few other things, but no pictures of during a battle. You'll see artist renditions of battles, pictures, artist renditions of this side and that side coming together, muskets and bayonets and cannons and all that kind of stuff. They had photography, and you could see photography of these people. Why wouldn't there be a picture of the actual war? You'll see pictures of the aftermath of the cities that are all wiped out, supposedly, from cannonballs. Those pictures are suspect, I would say. Any picture is suspect. Any picture, especially older pictures, can be manipulated in the developing process. It used to be an art form. Photo developers, you put it in your bath, the fixer, your set, and all that kind of stuff, and you could draw on it and manipulate it in any way, many ways. That spirit photography that they did in the early part of the century, and the weird putting overlays and overlays and overlays. It goes on. They could Photoshop these pictures from basically day one. So any picture is suspect to manipulation. So we really don't know. If we base our history on the pictures, drawings, and pictures, that's what our history is based on. And that's what people, it's difficult to get this across to people, and they want to believe what they're told, what they read in the history books, what they were taught in school, and then you see this picture or that, and that proves it. It don't prove jack shit. It proves nothing. It proves the narrative. They had a picture to back it up. That's what it proves. They draw a drawing. It's like you could go and just draw anything until the next generation of people that, this is, we came from monkeys and dogs mixed together, because look, I got a picture of a monkey and a dog. That's what it is. And that's why it's so difficult to dissuade people from their belief system, because it's just been ingrained since day one with the kids. The first thing they teach is, we live on a round ball in space, and this is that, and this is that, and we're, we evolved from this and that, and got little pictures of evolution, and we make up this about we came from monkeys, and they tell you all kinds of stuff, and the people that you talk to and you say, well, that this question the narrative on this, they get friggin' mad, and they do not want to do it, man. I tried to talk to a friend of mine, Kathleen, about the dinosaurs, and my God, could you? It's like they're real. They have bones in the museum, and I'm like, can you? What? On one hand, you're sitting there, that they faked this thing with the whole little make you sick thing, right? You understand that was a BS deal, but you can't believe that they faked this. I don't understand these people. I don't get it. I argued with her for a few about the dinosaur thing, and it wasn't getting through to her. She's just, I saw it, and they're biting the bones, and and I try to. Now, the bones, that they may find some piece of a bone, just for anybody that doesn't know. Maybe there's a couple of videos out there about dinosaurs. And it's simply logical that all these dinosaurs, that every museum's got these bones, right? Well, they're not. Those are all copies. They're copies of what they think. Because if you go out and do archaeology, or whatever, you find fossils. Fossils exist. I'm not saying that the fossil doesn't exist, but a fossil is a bone that's been solidified. It's turned to stone, more or less, right? So if you have a bone that's it's a giant bone, right, and it's this big of a leg of a dinosaur, supposedly, that bone is turned to stone. It's not like it's light, right? It's like a couple 100 pounds, maybe more. It's a big giant rock shaped like a bone. So let's say they find some pieces here and pieces there, and they're similar, and so that's how they did this dinosaur thing. Is they put these things together. They don't really know what an entire dinosaur looks like. It's all speculation. But the thing is that they didn't take the real bones and put them in the museum. The thing would fall down of its own weight because of the weight of each bone. So automatically, it only makes sense that if you're going to do this, you have to make copies, plaster Paris or whatever they're going to use. It's much lighter material to display a dinosaur in a museum or whatever. So that they don't tell you that, though, do they? Everybody thinks that, oh, I go to the museum and I'm looking at a dinosaur that actually millions of years ago walked the earth and so on and so forth. And look, there's proof. There it is. I can look right at it. But it's fake. And they will admit it that it's fake because it has to be fake, because you cannot freaking put giant bones up there that would not support its own weight. So they do a lot of speculation in the dinosaur field, man. A lot of speculation. Find a bone here, find a bone there, and kind of piece it together, and this kind of fits in the narrative or whatever. And then it's all the millions of years thing. Everything's millions of years. Yeah, millions of years. This was millions of years ago. They had that. Millions of years ago, there was this. Millions of years ago, there was that. This was 60 million. Come on. They don't fucking know the millions of years garbage. That's just a way of covering up everything. So, they can't, that way it's so far back in time that, we're just speculating, we can guess, but, we're pretty sure because we dug up some freaking, something in the area and did carbon dating is garbage too. That's been shown to be very inaccurate because of certain factors. I ain't no scientist. Everything I'm saying is my opinion. All right, but I sometimes think you just kind of know things, and my awakening into all this knowing things was, one day I believed everything, man. One day I believed everything, and then one day, people say, yeah, he went crazy because he started believing all these conspiracy theory things. When you see the truth, you can't deny it. Once you see something, you can't unsee it. You can't unhear it. You can't unthink it. They want to hide everything, the truth from you. That's why they put you on, like you said, the television. Television keeps everybody, the masses, asleep, and they just pump you with the propaganda. NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, all of them are nothing but just blah, 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 propaganda. And they do nothing, they tell you lies. All the lies, all the time. And that they keep you asleep. In between the lies that they tell you, they show you these soap operas, or whatever you want to call them, daytime, nighttime comedy shows, and all these. Yeah, and they interject, and all these shows, they interject their the propaganda, whatever it may be, the gay agenda, the racial thing that they're doing, racial Rogers, racial. I remember that we didn't have that until they decided, oh, let's divide people with this, and so everything's got to be in it now, everything, and then climate change. Yeah, there's all these shows that have to do with that, and all these shows that have to do with the gay agenda, and the climate change agenda, and the transgender, and it's all just it just keeps you numb and asleep. you know. And then they make or break a politics. They tell you who you're going to vote for. They tell you who's going to win. They tell you what it is because it's all fake too. And they make everybody hate somebody, one person, for whatever reason, like they're doing to Kanye West now. It's like and white supremacy. It's on and on and on, on and on and on. It makes no sense. They latch onto a thing, and it doesn't matter how absolutely insane it sounds, or makes no sense. They don't care. They push that narrative, and nobody questions it. They just repeat it back to you, and they have no critical thinking. There's nothing. It's an echo chamber for these people. They just and it's ridiculous. But it is what it is when it comes to that. It is what it is. I got to drop the nicest. There you go. I'm gonna put a 33 up there. It's the place we live in it isn't what you think it is. I don't know what it is, but it's not what we've been told. I have a Mandela Effect video for my personal Mandela Effect and my awakening that I'm going to do. It's in the can, but I just haven't finished it all up yet. I just threw this one up here because of the Artemis thing. I wanted to cover that in NASA, and the TikTok thing that's really needs to be done, and this all goes back to Twitter too, the Elon Musk Twitter thing, which is another joke. People think, it's going to change it, and it's not. It's all just a ruse to get you looking at something else. Distractions, like I talked about in another video, distracting you from everything else. It means nothing. It's meaningless. Elon Musk is a puppet, a character, a cartoon character, literally. I don't know. I've seen other people talk about it now because it's like so obvious, and I don't know if I was the first one to think of it. Probably not, but I started telling my friends that Elon Musk, to all the fanboys in him, I said, Elon Musk is freaking Tony Stark. They're like, well, Tony Stark? Didn't you ever read comics of the Avengers or what? Iron Man? Yeah, Tony Stark is Iron Man. He was a rich billionaire, entrepreneur, this and that, inventor of everything, but he was actually Iron Man too. Go back and look at the whole comics. That was Tony Stark. And when Elon Musk is freaking Tony Stark. He owns this company and that company. And one man owns 5 or 6 mega corporations that are just. But he comes out of nowhere. He was a PayPal coder, and he gets a few $1 million for whatever for selling the rights to that. But now he's a genius, most smartest man on the fucking planet, most richest man on the planet. Owns SpaceX and Tesla and freaking. Twitter now, and a couple other companies. I mean, the man is he's just awesome to the max, to the point where, come on, he's a cartoon. And anybody that can't see that he's a cartoon, you need to take your goggles off, man. Wake up. He's a cartoon. His name's Tony Stark. He's Iron Man. Dude, that Halloween picture of him in the freaking, if you would have been wearing an Iron Man costume to Halloween, would that have woken anybody up? The thing was red and black samurai outfit, right? Come on. It's so freaking obvious. He's a cartoon character, just like freaking Facebook guy. That guy, I'm pretty sure he's not even human, whatever the hell he is. But he's another one. He's just a face to what they're doing. Elon Musk is just a face to reintroduce this technology that they already had, like the electric car and all this. He didn't come up with none of this stuff. He didn't invent none of this shit. Nothing. None of that. He didn't invent jack shit. He is not a genius. He ain't nothing but a face. He can't spend that money. And then he's going to buy Twitter because it's been such a biased platform, and it's all a distraction, man. Run one side up, then run the other side up. Run one side up, and run the other side up. They just play both ends against the middle. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing. That's what they keep doing. If you're a fanboy of Elon Musk, man, take off the goggles, take off the blinders, and see the real picture here. That he's a comic book character. He really is. And with Klaus Schwab, if could you picture him? He's like Dr. Evil. we want to delete the population, and it really is. He's, and he's German. I mean, come on, you can't make this shit up. It's all a joke. It's all a script. It's all bullshit. Then you got Joe Biden. I don't even want to go there. I mean, this is the ultimate telling. They literally put it in your face that this guy is so incompetent in every way, shape, or form, and he's going to just wreck everything, and yet he gets 85 million votes. Come on. I mean, and people believe that. Sure, he's so popular, and now that they do these polls, and he's like the lowest rated person, and basically in history for the United States, and for somehow people don't put two and two together. And they paid it. I'm not saying that. Like I said, everything's a lie. Everything's bullshit. And I'm definitely not saying Trump's great, or but he was the other side of the pole. They do that just over back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so, but I think that as far as people liking and the way that they came off and what was going on, I believe that people liked the way Trump was doing things more, and they liked the way things were going in that direction, and so they had to fucking pull it back. And that's when and they just piled on Trump continuously to wipe out that like for people, and made everybody that was a fan of his. Then they turned you into a domestic terrorist basically, because the agenda of the left is the evil negativity, and that's what they're pushing right now. That's the whole thing, from the CV thing, and the covering your thing with a piece of paper thing, and getting the the pointy thing. All that stuff is all negativity, all evil stuff, and that's what we're on a cycle. And it goes yin and yang, so it's all relative to that. And like I said, your vote doesn't count for shit. I voted enough times back when it did. I think it was kind of real at one time, and then it kind of just wasn't anymore. Just now, it's just whoever they've pretty much totally taken charge. And I think there was a time in the past when it was still kind of free, and it's being directed and steered. But I think that I think the controllers now have pretty much overrun the boat, and they're totally in charge of it at this point. There's no middle ground anymore. No back and forth so much. They make it appear to be back and forth, kind of keep it the illusion. Because they don't want everybody to be like totally hopeless and whatnot, and they need you to kind of believe in them, and they need you to do certain things, and that steer you in certain directions. For whatever reason, they do their things. But I mean, to anybody that's a critical thinker, it should be obvious that they are completely in control of what they're doing, and it's no surprises of what happens. When this last election I spoke earlier of, the fact that they elected in Pennsylvania a frickin' man with brain damage from a stroke. I mean, come on. I mean, if Biden wasn't bad enough that they elected him, he's a friggin' vegetable. They elected another vegetable, and then Biden puts into place these friggin' transgender goddamn what do you call it, director of the Navy, and there's a nuclear guy that's a friggin' dresses like a dog. I mean, they're just fucked this place up entirely, and it's all it's all for the good, because it's all for now. It's equality, all equality. Fuck equality, it's bullshit. Equality ain't nothing but just try to bring the better people down to the lowest levels. That's what it is. You got to debase everybody. That way, nobody can be better than anybody else. That's communism, man. Communism. That's what it is. And Marxism. And that's what they're pushing and doing. And everybody's just like, oh yeah, we got to be nice to the gays and the fags and the lesbians and everything else. And and transgender people. And it's okay to trans your kids at 6 years old. And they have destroyed morality and everything in this country at this point. They've turned just our morals and values upside down, all the way, and just driven it into the ground with this stuff. And the pronouns now. That's he, they, she, shim. I mean, all this garbage, and then they want to make it a crime to misgender somebody. You got to be friggin' kidding me. That is now, we talk about freedom of speech. That's freedom of thought. That's freedom of ideas. That's freedom of, you don't have any of those. You will acknowledge what they say, you will do what they say, or you will pay. All right, that's enough for my rant for that, for today. That's my reality. It's what I believe is my opinion. Just to say, I don't dislike gays in any way. I don't dislike people of color in any way. I don't dislike anybody. I don't want to have their crap shoved down my throat, though. That's what America's supposed to be about, is freedom. I have the right to believe what I want to believe, and I'm not trying to force my opinions down anybody's throat. I'm not trying to make you do this. I'm not trying to make you think this way. I'm not trying to take your freedoms away because you don't believe the way I do. I live and let live. As long as you're not impacting children or, people's rights, other rights, then you have a right to believe whatever you want. You have a right to do whatever you want, as long as you don't hurt somebody else. Especially if you're not hurting children or trying to indoctrinate them in any way. I don't have a problem with you do. I don't ask people what they do in their bedroom, and I don't want people to ask me what I do in my bedroom. I don't care. You don't got to come out and just shove it in everybody's throat, down everybody's throat, like they've been doing the last 10 years. Normally, everybody's got a rainbow flag and all this other nonsense, and there's a color of the flag for every LBGTQRS, thing that they want to include people who have bestiality and whether they get it, necro, that word, is that going to be another thing that's normalized? There's no bottom. That's why we had more roles. We need to go back to some more roles, at least a little bit. And if you want to do that kind of stuff, as long as it doesn't involve children, then do whatever you want. I don't care. But don't start pushing it down our throat. Don't involve children. Don't indoctrinate children. Don't force me to have to acknowledge it or accept it. I am not going to accept it. I refuse. But you do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm not going to stop you from doing what you want. But don't make me say, oh yeah, it's okay, because I don't think it's okay. But I'm not going to stop you, and I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I'm not going to call you out on it, and I'm not going to demean you or anything like that. Unless it's something to do with children, then that deserves to be demeaned and should definitely be stopped. But anything else you do with adults consenting behind closed doors, I don't care. The pendulum swings like this, right? And we got swung way to the left. I mean, way. But it's going to come back. It always does. And then rational people will step in again, and hopefully some of this stuff will get reversed. They keep us going down the road, and you keep this. That's what they do. And that's their form of control, because we worry about all this stuff like that. And like I said, I've fallen back into their crap just by speaking about this stuff, because it's all bullshit, it's all lies, it's all distractions. And, this place is, I don't know what it is or what it's about, other than I think that, I go listen to Matt, Quantum of Conscience, and I kind of like a lot of things he says, and he's a really good channel to look into. That's Quantum of Conscience, and his ideas are pretty spot on, I think, about what this place is and what we're here to do and what it's all about. So I would recommend his channel. Anyway, that's what I'm going to say for right now, and I'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.